This is the ultimate one-off hypercar, the $12 million Bugatti.
Imagine a Bugatti so exclusive that there is only one in the entire world. Not 100, not 10, not even 2, just one. This is the Bugatti La Voiture Noire, a machine created as a modern tribute to one of the most mysterious and legendary cars in automotive history, the Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic. But La Voiture Noire is not simply a beautiful tribute. It is a completely unique grand touring machine, handcrafted for a single Bugatti enthusiast. When Bugatti revealed it in 2019, the world immediately noticed something different. There was no traditional hypercar drama. Instead, there was elegance, a long, flowing silhouette, a completely black carbon fiber body, a low, wide stance, and an unmistakable Bugatti grille sitting at the center of the front end. This was Bugatti showing that extreme performance does not always need to look aggressive. Sometimes, the most powerful statement is silence. The name itself tells you almost everything. La Voiture Noire. In French, it means the black car. And Bugatti took that idea literally. The entire vehicle was designed around a deep black appearance, with visible carbon fiber creating subtle changes in texture as light moves across the body. But beneath that elegant exterior is one of the most famous engines ever created, an 8-liter W16, 4 turbochargers, 1,500 horsepower, and 1,600 Newton-meters of torque. This is not simply a luxury grand tour. It is a hypercar wearing the clothing of a grand touring automobile. The engine sits behind the occupants, powering the car through Bugatti's sophisticated all-wheel drive system. The result is an extraordinary combination: massive power, massive torque, and a level of engineering designed to make that power usable. Bugatti officially describes La Voiture Noire as a grand touring car, combining the comfort expected from a luxury automobile with the performance of a hypersports car. And that philosophy explains almost everything about its design. Look at the proportions. The front section stretches forward dramatically. The roof flows smoothly into the rear. There are no unnecessary lines. Instead, the body appears almost sculpted from a single piece. Bugatti designers worked extensively on the surface so that the eye could move across the car without being interrupted. The result is remarkably clean, and that is one of the reasons La Voiture Noire looks so different from many modern hypercars. At the front sits the famous Bugatti horseshoe grille, but around it, everything becomes more dramatic. Large air openings feed the cooling system. The headlights are integrated into the flowing bodywork, and the front splitter sits extremely low to the ground. Every surface has a purpose. Every opening has a reason, and every curve contributes to the character of the car. Move toward the side, and the carbon fiber construction becomes even more obvious. The body uses visible carbon fiber finished in an extremely deep black. Under direct sunlight, you can see the fine texture of the carbon weave. Under low light, the body can appear almost completely black. That changing appearance is part of the car's personality. It doesn't simply reflect light, it absorbs it. And then you reach the rear. This is where La Voiture Noire becomes unforgettable. Instead of traditional separate rear lights, Bugatti created an enormous illuminated strip running across the rear. The design emphasizes the width of the car. Below it sits an aggressive aerodynamic section, and underneath are 6 exhaust outlets. 6. A visual reference to the 16-cylinder engine hidden behind the cabin. The 6 exhaust pipes are more than decoration. They are a mechanical signature, a reminder that behind this elegant body is an engine capable of producing 1,500 horsepower and 1,600 Newton-meters of torque. This combination of elegance and extreme mechanical power is what makes La Voiture Noire so fascinating. It doesn't need to shout. The specifications speak for themselves. Inside, Bugatti continues the same philosophy. The cabin is designed around luxury rather than unnecessary visual drama. Premium materials, carefully finished surfaces, individual details, and a driver-focused environment surrounded by the same sense of craftsmanship found throughout the exterior. This isn't a mass-produced automobile. It is closer to automotive haute couture. A single customer commissioned a machine that could never simply be replaced by another identical X. And that brings us to one of the most important facts about La Voiture Noire. It is a one-off. Only one production example exists. That makes every detail more important. The bodywork, the carbon fiber, the interior, the aerodynamic development, the engineering. Everything was created around the idea that this particular Bugatti would exist only once, and that is where the story becomes even more interesting, because Bugatti did not simply design this car and put it on display. The company spent years developing and testing it. At first glance, the Bugatti La Voiture Noire appears to have only one color, black, but look closer, and you discover that black is only the beginning. The body is finished in deep black visible carbon fiber. That means the surface isn't simply painted black. The carbon fiber structure remains visually present beneath the finish. As sunlight moves across the body, the texture becomes visible. In shadow, the car becomes darker. Under studio lighting, its curves become almost liquid. This gives La Voiture Noire an appearance that constantly changes depending on the environment. The primary visual palette can be described through several elements: deep gloss black, visible carbon fiber, dark metallic components, polished and machined wheel surfaces, and carefully selected interior materials. Rather than using many bright exterior colors, Bugatti created contrast through materials and reflections. That makes the design feel extremely sophisticated. The front grille is another important visual element. The famous horseshoe shape immediately identifies the car as a Bugatti. But La Voiture Noire stretches that familiar identity into something much more modern. The grille sits low and wide. The surrounding bodywork flows around it, and the black finish makes the front appear almost sculpted from darkness. The headlights are integrated into the body rather than appearing as separate objects. This helps preserve the smooth surface. From the front, the car appears wide and extremely low. From the side, the design becomes much more elegant, and from the rear, it becomes almost futuristic. The wheels continue the dark, sophisticated theme. They are large, performance-oriented wheels designed to complement the proportions of the body. Behind them are high-performance braking components. Everything has been selected to match the character of the car. Nothing feels accidental. One of the most fascinating parts of La Voiture Noire is the side profile. There is a long, elegant line running from the front toward the rear. The cabin is positioned relatively centrally within the overall shape. The rear section then drops into a smooth, aerodynamic form. This is where Bugatti's grand touring philosophy becomes visible. The car isn't shaped like a pure track machine. It has a sense of movement even when it is standing still. And then comes the signature rear lighting. A single illuminated element stretches across the back. It visually connects the two sides of the car. This gives La Voiture Noire an instantly recognizable identity at night. Below it, the rear diffuser and aerodynamic surfaces become increasingly aggressive. Scene 6 exhausts. Voiceover. Then there are those 6 exhaust outlets, 6 individual pipes, a dramatic mechanical signature. They visually communicate the presence of the W16 engine. It is one of the most recognizable rear designs ever fitted to a Bugatti. But the design isn't only about appearance. Bugatti had to engineer the body for cooling, stability, airflow, and high-speed behavior. The front openings help manage air. The underside helps control airflow. The rear aerodynamic structures help generate stability, and the extended body contributes to the grand touring character. At the heart of everything is the legendary 8-liter W16. 4 turbochargers force air into the engine. The result is 1,500 horsepower and 1,600 newton-meters of torque. Think about that for a moment. This is the kind of output normally associated with dedicated hypercars. Yet Bugatti wanted La Voiture Noire to remain comfortable enough to represent the grand touring side of the brand. Inside, the atmosphere becomes calmer. The interior is not designed to overwhelm the driver with unnecessary screens and visual effects. Instead, the emphasis is on materials, craftsmanship, comfort, and mechanical character. This is an automobile designed to be experienced, not simply photographed. And that craftsmanship is one of the most important parts of the story. Bugatti describes the car as a handcrafted one-off. Every component had to go through strict testing and quality procedures. The company used simulations, wind tunnel testing, test benches, test tracks, and proving grounds during development. Even though only one production car would ultimately exist, the engineering process was extremely serious. That's what separates La Voiture Noire from a simple concept car. It was not created merely to look spectacular on a motor show stage. It had to become a functioning, road-going Bugatti, a unique automobile capable of combining extreme performance with long-distance comfort. But now comes the question everyone wants answered. How much does a car like this actually cost? And what makes its price so extraordinary? That's where the final part of our story begins. Let's talk about the number. When Bugatti officially revealed La Voiture Noire in 2019, the car had already been sold to a Bugatti enthusiast. The official price was announced at 11 million euros before tax. That was the original net purchase price. And remember what that means. This wasn't the price of a production model available at a dealership. This was the price of one unique Bugatti. One car, one customer, one specification. At the time of its launch, Bugatti described La Voiture Noire as the world's most expensive new car. Its extraordinary price wasn't based on horsepower alone. You could buy other cars with enormous performance, but you couldn't buy another La Voiture Noire because there is no second one. The value comes from a combination of factors. First, exclusivity. Only one exists. Second, craftsmanship. The vehicle was developed and finished as a special coach-built project. Third, engineering. Under the body is Bugatti's famous 8-liter W16 with 4 turbochargers. Fourth, history. The car pays tribute to the legendary Type 57 SC Atlantic. And finally, design. La Voiture Noire was created to look completely different from an ordinary Chiron-derived automobile. The inspiration is particularly important. The original Type 57 SC Atlantic is one of the most famous Bugattis ever created. One of the historic Atlantic cars disappeared before the Second World War, creating a mystery that has become part of automotive history. La Voiture Noire takes inspiration from that legend without simply copying the original. Instead, Bugatti translated the idea into a modern Grand Tourer. That is why the design is so smooth, why the body is so long, why the black carbon fiber is so important, and why the car feels more like a moving sculpture than a conventional hypercar, and underneath that sculpture is serious performance. 8 liters, 16 cylinders, 4 turbochargers, 1,500 horsepower, 1,600 newton-meters of torque, 6 exhaust outlets, all-wheel drive, and a chassis engineered to handle the enormous performance. The exact performance figures of this unique model are not as extensively publicized as those of some regular Bugatti production cars. And that is worth remembering. La Voiture Noire is not simply a numbers contest. It was designed around a different philosophy. The idea was to create something powerful and fast, but also refined. A car that could represent the grand touring side of Bugatti. Comfortable, elegant, extremely powerful, and completely individual. That combination is what makes the car special. Imagine seeing it parked in a collection. From a distance, it may look like a black hypercar, but walk closer. You begin to notice the carbon fiber texture, the sculpted body, the unique rear light, the 6 exhaust pipes, the wheels, the tiny details, and eventually you realize that you are standing next to something that cannot simply be ordered again. There are millions of expensive cars in the world, but rarity has another level. A limited production car can still have hundreds of examples. A one-off car has only one, and that changes everything. La Voiture Noire isn't simply another Bugatti. It represents an entire philosophy. Take the company's historic design language, combine it with modern carbon fiber construction, add one of the most famous engines in automotive history, then surround everything with handcrafted coach building. The result is a car that feels almost impossible to reproduce. So, is the Bugatti La Voiture Noire worth 11 million euros before tax? For an ordinary driver, probably not. But this automobile was never designed for an ordinary buyer. It was designed for someone who wanted something nobody else could own. Something beyond performance, beyond luxury, beyond ordinary exclusivity. A machine created once, for one person, with one identity and one name. La Voiture Noire, the black car, 1,500 horsepower, 1,600 newton-meters, 8 liters, 16 cylinders, 4 turbochargers, 6 exhaust pipes, and just one example. That is the real story of the Bugatti La Voiture Noire. Not simply the price, not simply the power, but the fact that this entire automobile exists as a singular piece of automotive history. 1,500 horsepower, 1,600 newton-meters, 8 liters, 16 cylinders, 4 turbochargers, 6 exhaust pipes, and just one example. That is the real story of the Bugatti La Voiture Noire. Not simply the price, not simply the power, but the fact that this entire automobile exists as a singular piece of automotive history.